Hello, I'm Matthew, and I'm a Brit. So to what extent am I really a European? That's a very interesting political debate. Let's look back into history. 9,000 years ago, we weren't an island. We were a block of ice connected to Europe, emotionally inarticulate and disapproving of enjoying food and sex, but apart from that, we were connected. And then, in the year 6500 BC, Europe was severed from Britain. And I'm afraid to say, Europe has never been the same since. In 43 AD, we became part of the Roman Empire and had a go at drinking wine and enjoying food and sex for a bit, but it didn't last. By 410, the Romans had buggered off and taken their cooking equipment, hobnail boots, nice villas and plumbing with them. So when I was born onto the British Isles at some point after 410 AD, I assumed that I, as a Brit, was monolingual. And then I realised that I was also someone who could only speak one language. I had both a revelation and a light bulb moment. I both reflected and thought. And I said to myself, I am a native speaker of both. I am a self-taught speaker of Anglo-Saxon and an autodidact orator in Latin. Oratory sounds much more impressive than just saying things, doesn't it? And a plate of pork sounds much more upmarket than a plate of pig, doesn't it? That's what they eat in Germany. But it's a fine line between sounding impressive and sounding suspicious, pretentious, vague and vacuous. Sounding a bit too European, in other words. Or as we say in Anglo-Saxon, sounding like a bit of a tit. Remember that English is the language in which you can insult someone by saying they're too clever by half. So when we're interpreting from Romance languages into English, we often have two options. Do we remain vigilant about the evolution of the situation, or do we keep a close eye on what happens next? Do we have a favourable prior opinion but a requirement for a reflection period, or do we think it sounds good but need time to think about it? I could go on, and with my English retour students I often do, to the extent that one of them took my Anglo-Saxon advice very much to heart and once interpreted the phrase ad nauseam as until it makes you want to puke, which is a cautionary, salutary, sarcastic pseudo-admonition, or a good put-down.